Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Neutral Game Podcast, a fighting game podcast for beginners, novices, average players, and sometimes experts as well. I'm your host, Miodrag, aka Real Soviet Bear, and with me is Six. Hello, Six.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. How are you?
I am a little numb, because of the realization that because I went to the dentist. That was a joke. I set you up with some comedy there.
Well, I could have said you were numb because you got your butt handed to you when we played some retro fighting games.
It's weird because I don't feel like I did. We played 3 games, and 2 games I felt like I was competitive, and then 1 game I kind of detached my personhood from the experience.
Anyway, for this special episode of Neutral Game, we decided to go over 3 retro games, and when I say retro, I mean old games most people probably don't care about. As sort of an experiment in jank and how modern sensibilities carry over to old games. And also because we wanted to actually cover Dead or Alive 6, but Dead or Alive 6 shipped without player lobbies, so Six and I could not actually play the game with each other. So that's delayed until we do, and then we'll give proper coverage to that game. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about some really old games. And before we go into that, how did we do this? Most people use Fightcade for arcade emulation. What we did is we played some console games as well and some PC games without online play, and we used Parsec, which is I think it's kind of new. I haven't heard about Parsec until a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you've heard about it until I told you about it.
Yeah, that was definitely my first time hearing about it, and yeah, I mean, you'll go into how it works and stuff in a minute, but what I will say is just I was really impressed by the netcode.
Yes. So what Parsec essentially is this is not a plug. We're not sponsored by Parsec. But what essentially it is, it's this little application that has you stream another application as a video feed directly to another person, and that person can use their controller or keyboard or mouse to actually put in inputs on your PC. And it's pretty safe. It's not like remote control on what some Microsoft PCs have. It's more like remote play on PlayStation 4, if people are familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hosted it. I'm in Sweden. Six is in the West Coast, and the netcode seemed pretty fine. I almost felt like I was lagging compared to you, considering some of the stuff you got away with.
Yeah, no, it was pretty. It felt pretty comparable to our experiences playing BlazBlue or something. That kind of ArcSys, stable, not the lag is invisible or anything, but very reliable. Your intent is definitely represented, and you feel like you can do what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it definitely felt pretty good, and I've used it with some other friends, and it was essentially like playing fighting games online normally. It wasn't, in some cases, even better. I'd almost rather play via Parsec certain PC ports of fighting games than using their own netcode.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Anyway, also, as a disclaimer, all of these games that we played between 40 and 60 minutes of each, so all of this is either first impressions or we haven't played in a while and we just came back to it. So if we're not knowledgeable about anything, we apologize for that. Literally, this is just us diving in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a little sampler platter for you.
Yeah. And with that out of the way, the first game was my pick. It was TMNT Tournament Fighters, aka Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Hero Turtles if you're in Europe, for the NES, which is, I think, a version not many people are actually familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, you hear a lot about the game, but you don't. This version is not the one that people tend to remember. Um, and I definitely had never played it before. I wasn't a big TMT person, and I also just generally have a lack of knowledge of fighting games on the NES. Um, and as far as our sampler platter, I would say that this was really the onion rings of our experience.
Yeah, it was. I played this a lot as a kid. To give context to people, the NES was not popular where I was. We did have a lot of Famiclones or knockoff consoles of the NES, and this was one of the games that my neighbor had, and we just played this daily for a really long time. And how this differs from the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo version is like completely like it's completely different cast for most part, plays completely differently, and it even has like a weird gimmick mechanic that we'll get into, but for most part it feels like classic Street Fighter, I'd say.
hmm So what were you like? What did you remember? Like since you played so much of this as a youth, coming back to it, what were you expecting it to feel like? What'd you come in with?
I remember this feeling pretty good. Like I remember it controlling very fast, and being pretty fluid for something that's 8-bit. Because as you said, you don't really see that many NES fighting games. I think I know about this one, and God, there's another Japanese only exclusive one, which is pretty good, but I can't remember the name of. But generally, you don't see them that much, and they're not that good. So I remember being pretty fluid. I remember Shredder being massively overpowered as well. And kind of that's about it. Like, I was a kid. I think I was like 5 or 6 years old when I played this.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Well, how did the reality match up to your memory there?
So I'm gonna still say this is fairly competent for what it is. Like, it has the basics down of how a fighting game back then should work. Like, you have your punches, you have your kicks, you have your special moves. All the turtles have, I think, like two universal specials, which is the dash elbow and the dash kick, and then each one of them has their own unique move. And then the other characters, which are Casey Jones, Hothead, and Shredder, each have two specials. And the inputs were fine; they weren't like anything too ridiculous. Sadly, the damage scaling was the weird old school. You're not actually dealing fixed damage; you're dealing a range of damage, and it's not really consistent.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I feel like used to be like just in a whole lot of fighting games. I mean, even Street Fighter 2 has it. And until you go back to it, it's hard to like remember. It's sort of like, oh, okay, that's kind of like a weird like variable in the experience, but whatever. And it's like it completely shaped games where you'd have situations where you'd go for a throw and it would do close to half of someone's life, and normally it does like a fifth or a sixth, and it's just like, oh no, this one just chunked them.
Yeah, it's really weird, especially because now like fighting games are so strict because you spend so much time learning all these combos and all these strategies, and you need this information to be reliable. Like you need to know, will this super kill? Like otherwise you're not gonna do it because it's not worth it. And even like goes as far to actually give you the exact damage numbers on the side when you do damage. And then when you go back to this, you're kind of like, it's very jarring in a way that you don't really expect it, because you're so used to the new standard.
Mm-hmm.
And also, kind of one thing I kind of take for granted is things having proper frames, like moves having recovery, priority, things like that. I had no clue until we played how ridiculously broken throws were in this game.
So, okay, let's I don't think there are like throw startup animations, right? It
No,
didn't
they're
seem
not.
like they were. Basically, what happens is, if you're next to someone and a throw is possible and you hit throw, it seems like it's a one-frame action.
Yeah, it seems like it's a one frame action, but the weird thing about it is there are situations where you can throw a person despite you getting hit. Like for example, like I can connect, two punches or something,
Hmm.
but I cannot connect the second punch if you immediately throw me. And it's literally like I am unsafe when I successfully hit you because you can throw punish me, even though you neither blocked nor avoided it or anything. It's really weird. So it's like, oh, I better not use this move because you can just like immediately grab me and throw me.
Yeah, it seems like most moves are minus, but like they're also so slow startup that it's like oh, this move is -2, but the enemy's fastest move is minus is 5 frames, so it doesn't matter. Except they have a throw. So yes, you can try and combo someone, but if they're mashing throw and you're close enough while you're doing the combo, they can often suplex you out of it.
Yeah, it's like you can have that happen in regular fighting games where you're trying to go for like tick throws or just jabbing somebody or something like that. But like I've never seen that mid combo. Like you're just like doing it like you're connecting a hit and then you immediately just get like command grabbed by Zangief or Tager. Like it's so weird.
Hmm.
And the throws are so fast. Like the Casey Jones has this suit. What was it? Was it like a suplex?
Yes, that was the one. He did a classic German suplex, very good form, perfect arching of the back, very impressive.
But the animation is so fast and he does it so quickly that it's like this. It's like Mortal Kombat 3 when somebody chain throws you like 3 times in a row, except even faster. It is so ridiculous. Like you can basically get caught in a throw loop, and you don't even have time to actually understand what's going on.
And it's also interesting because there are no throw techs. This is before that was really a concept. And so, like, really, I don't know how it decides who gets to throw off, except for apparently the answer is me. Um, because like, yeah, when I first figured out this throw thing, I took like 5 games in a row where what would happen is I would slip past you, or like you'd hit me, and then I'd suplex you out of the combo, and then like jump over you like a safe jump, so that on wake up I suplexed you immediately again, and just changed that all the way until you were dead.
Yeah, no, it was pretty ridiculous. So I don't remember that part of the game. Which obviously means I remember the game badly because the game is obviously not good.
Or I mean, there could be some solution to, obviously we didn't do the deepest possible dive on this game. There could be some mechanics to avoid this that we didn't understand.
Yeah,
Didn't seem like it though.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we should definitely give this another try. But aside from that, one thing this game I think does well, except because you die so quickly in this game, it never really shines. But it does have this universal ball throwing mechanic, where I think after a certain time, like maybe like 10 or 20 seconds, I think it's closer to 20 seconds in the round, a little drone with Splinter's icon will fly over into the match, and it'll drop a red ball, and both players can pick up that red ball. And when you have it, you can, at any point while you have that ball on your person, you can do a special that throws that ball. And each character throws the ball in a different way. I think the Turtles throw it in a straight line, but then I think like Casey Jones arcs it a bit. Things like that. And it does quite a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, because you can die so quickly, like we didn't really use it that much. I think like maybe we won 2 or 3 rounds with that.
Yeah, it felt like earlier on it was more effective, and then yeah, the throw meta consumed everything in its path.
But the cool thing about it is when you throw the ball and it hits somebody, the ball doesn't despawn, so it drops where it hit the other person. So there's this idea of a constant like who's controlling the ball right now, and it's kind of like this, I guess, like super, like it's basically like this universal super, where you have to battle to have stock.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty cool. I would like to see more of that. I don't know, does Little League have that? Like Little League has balls.
No, I mean, it reminded me a lot of Cody's knife in the Street Fighter series, but of course with Cody's knife, it was only available to Cody, right? Like that was an asymmetrical game where there was the knife in the middle of the stage and he could control it and throw it, but the opponent had no access. And also, they got rid of it in 5 as far as that mechanic, and then in 4 they did everything in their power over releases and patches to make it so that picking up the knife was a bad idea, which I don't know why they did that.
Why won't you let Ryu use the knife? Why, Capcom?
Hey, Blanca, what have you got there? A knife! No!
I think that would be cool, like if anybody could pick up the knife. But yeah, like overall, I think it was good, dumb fun. I don't know. What did you think about it?
Yeah, definitely had a good time with it. I don't think, like, I'm not gonna, like, recommend it, but, like, if you do this sort of thing where you're like, hey, let's sit down with a couple of old games and mess around, it's a good time. It's very silly. Like, the characters are, like, have, like, weird inputs, and there's some clear, like, balance issues, but then, once you learned about throws, then the balance suddenly evens out because everyone has a throw.
Yeah. When everybody's overpowered, nobody's overpowered.
Exactly. So yeah, no, it's a fun little time. I definitely recommend checking it out if you have some other games to poke at.
Yeah, I will say though that I play a lot of old fighting games a few years ago when I did my old December stream thing. This one I think is much more fluid than most fighting games of that era. Like it doesn't feel sluggish or cumbersome to get around. So I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, it definitely feels more like, as far as like game feel, I would say it approaches more like a Super Nintendo than a original NES game. I feel like it has a lot more of a fluid feel, as you say.
Definitely. Anyway, the next game was your choice.
Yeah, so I wanted something that I was pretty sure Mio had never heard of. And so I went with the sequel to a Flash game. This is also a Flash game, but this got a standalone, like a downloadable release. This was a Super Smash Flash 2, which I was fairly excited about back in the day. It is a Flash game that is attempting to emulate the Super Smash Bros. Series. It's sort of, I believe the project was started around the time of Brawl. But it is so much exactly what you expect, right? It's like, okay, some fan artists are making their own Smash Bros. And they're like, and what if Goku was in it? And Naruto? And Black Mage from Final Fantasy? And yeah, just like every fake troll, like, character roster leak from Brawl back in the day is, well, not everyone, because, there are limits. Their resources are limited. But all of those, and we didn't get into it because we use Parsec, but it actually does have netcode. They actually kind of went pretty damn far with this game as far as like features and content and support.
Damn, I didn't even know it had netcode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not great netcode, but it holds up. I was pretty sure with our distance it was gonna fall to shit, so I didn't even mention it. But I played with people who were, like I was in at the time the central United States, and they were on the East Coast, and it was a little choppy, but it was playable.
So would you say that Super Smash Flash 2 is more competitive than Brawl?
I mean, in the form we played, I would actually agree. Because it's actually, they've done some more work. And as far as I could tell, one of the things that they did is they removed Final Smashes, which is an interesting change, and is not how I remember the game. But the Final Smashes made the game obscenely broken. I've gone on before about Brawl and tripping, and how I think tripping is a mechanic that makes Brawl basically impossible to take seriously in a competitive way. Super Smash Flash definitely has some characters that I bet are not like the most balanced in the world, but like there's no universal mechanic to stop people from competing. There are some bad stages, but you know, you can always not pick stages. And yeah, I felt like at the time I was really impressed by how it played, and going back to it, I wasn't as enamored, but I still think it was a surprisingly like competently made Flash game.
Yeah, I think we only played the new characters. Like we didn't play the standard issue Smash characters, but the more pipe dreamy anime ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it did feel like some of them, at least the ones I played, were like either overtuned or kind of completely lacked direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I played Bomberman, and I just the way Bomberman works is literally what you imagine. Like he throws bombs and then you detonate them. And while I did pull off some very, very weird setups with that, it doesn't feel like a tool set you can rely on. It felt really bad and lacking focus, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like you got some like really pretty busted like edge guards, because it didn't seem like there was a limit to the number of bombs you could put in one spot. So it's like, oh, knock someone off the stage and then just pile 10 bombs on the edge of the stage and they're not coming back. But yeah, it wasn't a particularly versatile or developed moveset.
Yeah, and then there was Bandana Waddle Dee, who had a ridiculously good moveset. Like it covered every single base it could.
Yeah, that was a pretty powerful set of moves. Yeah, that worked me over pretty good. I was kind of bummed because I played some Ichigo, because I remember playing a bunch of Ichigo back in the day, because when it originally came out, I was pretty hardened to Bleach.
Wow.
Well, listen, no shame, those first 2 seasons are good. And then it keeps going.
I watched the entire first season. And somebody told me, oh, season 3 is where it gets good, and I couldn't survive that long.
1 and 2 I think are good, and you know, not for you. I respect that. But so in the earlier releases, you know, with the final smashes, Ichigo's final smash was just to turn into like his basically his it's called Bankai, but basically his equivalent of Super Saiyan, right? It's a shonen anime. We all know what that means. Mm-hmm. And he just turned into it for like a couple of minutes. And then so like you could basically, it was enough to win the rest of the match, basically no matter when it happened. And I had a lot of fun doing some comp stomping, just like, oh, let me just go, you know, my final form, and then just like all my moves are enhanced. I have better normals. I have, I think, some armor. I have some teleports, and I was looking forward to doing that to you and you not knowing what was happening, but unfortunately, that no longer seems to be an option.
Well, I did like when you tried to do that with the Goku, and it turned out that killed you.
Goku, yeah. Goku's has his standard B move is the Kamehameha, of course. And it's the Dragon, not the Dragon Ball Z, not the Dragon Ball Super. It's the Dragon Ball Kamehameha, where it takes him fucking forever to throw the goddamn thing. And then his beatdown is Kaioken, where he hurts himself. And I assume he gets some kind of like strength boost, but like, man.
Yeah, he's slowly dying. You just see that percentage meter keep going up.
That said, he did like, you know how Kirby has like the infinite, well not infinite, but has like a bunch of jumps?
Yeah.
Goku doesn't. He just fucking flies. You just hit up and he just goes up. Unless you smash him off the screen, like if you drop a Goku down, I don't know if it's possible to kill Goku that way, because he just fucking floats. So that's an interesting choice.
I mean, honestly, I feel like that's unfair. You should not be able to defeat Goku ever.
That's true, you know?
If this was a proper fighting game.
I mean, like I think you should be able to defeat Goku, but it doesn't go to like a match ended screen. It cuts to like Goku's on the Snake Way, and you just have to chill for like a year or two so that he comes back and stronger, and then he beats you.
Or he just like stands up and like thumbs up and leaves.
That's fair. That's fair. It's like, hey, that was a good fight.
Yeah, but yeah. So how did it compare what we played to what you remember of the game?
Honestly, not quite as good. I mean, I feel like a lot of my fun with the game back in the day was just like honestly enjoying how unbalanced it was. Because like yeah, these characters could do such ridiculous things, and without that draw as much, you sort of were left to dwell on like less spectacle and more on like, okay, how are the fundamentals of these new characters and how they played, and some of them just sucked. Like I think Bomberman was a bad design. I think Black Mage was a complete like I don't even know what they were trying to achieve with Black Mage. That character is terrible. Your best move is like running forward and doing like a flurry of blows, and you're a mage, and why is that your move?
He had like some weird input where it wasn't really consistent which spell he was casting.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would cycle through the spells as you were doing your B move, I think. I can't remember. It was something very weird because I think I also tried him.
Yeah, he's a strange one. So I don't know. It feels like most of the things they added, especially like the new stages, are not, as you might expect, not up to real competitive standards.
It definitely felt like a fan game, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I meant more in like, this is definitely what somebody who's like really into a specific game, but without like kind of like the whole picture of producing it would try and make.
Mm-hmm. That said, it still was really impressive going back to see just like how extensive like the feature lists and like the menus and UI were. They really went all out.
Yeah. No, it was like they even have this intro, which is basically a pixelified brawl intro.
Mm-hmm. And they have like you can go into options and like configure controllers, and there's way more like built into this as far as like accessibility and stuff than you would expect from a Flash game, and in fact from most indie games.
I mean, and even some like actual fully released fighting games sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Though I don't believe there's much of a tutorial.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
If there's a way to turn on final smashes that I didn't see, I would. If there isn't, I honestly don't think I would. I don't think it had enough to I mean, it's neat to play a fan game, but otherwise I don't think there's enough.
I think with Smash Ultimate, it's just like, back then it was like, oh, it's Smash, but with, Goku and Ichigo and Bomberman and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas today it's like you have Smash Ultimate and somebody says, oh, here's Smash with Goku, and it's like, well, I don't care. I have like Solid Snake over there and Bayonetta and all of these weird characters already.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, that was your pick, and now we have the joint pick. So, Samurai Shodown is coming out end of June. I'm very excited about it. I don't believe you are, Six.
No. Not really. I mean, I'll pick it up, but I'll sort of like I'll be kind of like giving it the eye as I check out.
So, in honor of that, we decided to play Samurai Shodown. Six suggested we play Samurai Shodown 2. I said that's bullshit. We can't play a good Samurai Shodown. We can play Samurai Shodown 3 instead. Because if we don't know what we're talking about with Samurai Shodown 3, nobody can fault us, because I don't think that many people like 3. Even though I kind of liked it in general. But how is this different from Samurai Shodown? Like 1, 2, and 4, and 5, and 6, I guess. Like 3 was like this weird attempt to make the game darker and grittier. So There's much more killings. The palette is much darker. It has this weird system where instead of picking your character, you have two versions of a character, and one of the versions is this dishonorable, brutal version of the character.
Mm-hmm.
So, in general, it's very edgy and grimdark. And also, it's not particularly well balanced or fine-tuned.
Yeah. I feel like we were having, like, at first, our first impression was really positive, right?
Yeah.
I think we were playing and it was like, okay, like, I wanna experience, I played a little bit of Samurai Shodown 2 back in the day, single player. That's basically it. It's like, I want to have more experience with Samurai Shodown with the new one on the horizon. I want to have some comparison. And it was like, okay, this actually, like, people say this is the bad one, but, like, I don't know that I love all these characters, but, like, it's fun. We got variable damage again. That's a little frustrating. But, we're having, like, real matchups. We're having matchups that resemble, like, other fighting games where we're doing zoning, we're figuring out our buttons, we're learning what our character's game plan is. And then it felt like it started to slide downhill.
Yeah. So it's very hard to describe what exactly went wrong as we played more and more. I think it's just like a combination of a lot of weird things. Like, for example, like a lot of the hitboxes are really weird. Like, you hit from such weird distances, and you get hit from things you wouldn't expect to actually reach you.
Mm-hmm.
And then some characters just seem like downright broken. They just like do straight up much more damage than any other character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's also, there were problems of, like, so Samurai Shodown's always had the like, disarming mechanic. It's really prevalent in this one, where basically when everyone's low health, they have, like, a desperation move that they have that disarms. And then also, of course, if you get a sword clash, you disarm. And my experience, maybe if I'd played more of the game, I got better at the game, I would have a different impression. But it kind of felt like at the point where I was disarmed, they might as well just end the round because you were so thoroughly screwed.
It was extremely easy to get completely outpoked and outzoned, unless your character had a special they could use even when disarmed, like Basara did. So I think eventually we kind of found our niche. Like, you were playing Genjuro, I think, the Hanafuda card samurai. And I picked Basara, and apparently Basara, according to official tier lists, is the worst character, and it didn't really feel like that. Especially because, like, one of his moves was the Bison Stomp, except he can combo Bison Stomps into Bison Stomps into Bison Stomps infinitely and just cross you up until the end of time.
Yeah, it's not like a true combo. You manage to recover, but being able to anti-air it is really finicky. And, like, blocking it is a pointless action because it's just going to happen again. Like, blocking it does not put you at any kind of disadvantage or make it hard to do it again. You just go for another bison kick.
It feels like the Potemkin butt stomp when he, like, dives and hits you with his rear, except if you block it. Imagine, like, if you block Potemkin's butt stomp, he could jump out of it again before hitting the ground and do it again. That's basically what it is. And it's so ridiculous.
We had sequences where, like, I was blocking that, like, I had to, jump block to have some kind of recovery advantage. And I did that 8 times in a row before finally you managed to get a cross up that I didn't block right. But it's like, okay, so I just got to block infinite 50-50s until I fail?
I mean, I think there was, like, a DP you could do, but it was, like, because I was literally meandering at the spot where your character either turns back or forth, like, where you cross up the character. Like, good luck getting a DP input on that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, at least with Genjuro, like, the DP was, like, as many DPs are, it was like a slight lunge forward, and it's like, okay, that just won't hit you. If you're already far enough forward to do the kick, like if you're doing the first one, I could catch you. But if I already blocked one, it's like, okay, my DP can't hit you, and you can hit me in the recovery of the DP, and then I'm just right back where I started.
It was pretty funny. I don't know if it was funny on the receiving end, but I thought it was hilarious.
I was frustrated at first, and it became comical over time just because it felt so absurd. It was just like, okay, like, you know, I'm the strongest samurai in the land, but this motherfucker's got a pogo stick, so I guess I'm done.
I mean, but it's not even like that. He also had like some weird move because everybody has, like you said, that desperation move that disarms you, and like Basara's. Like, you can block, you can, like, react to it, but also it is still obscenely fast because it full screens you. Like, he jumps backwards to the edge of the screen, and then he literally lunges on the entire arena. So, no matter where you are, he can actually, like, he can full screen melee punish you on a whiff.
And it's not like, you know, it's not like a jab or something. You deal a lot of fucking damage and then disarm and get a hard knockdown.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. I don't know. I also didn't like a lot of the other things that I think they did away later, but it's like they throw food randomly that'll heal you, or they throw bombs if you're around the same area long enough to like disincentivize you, and I just don't like that because there were a few situations where I basically kept forcing you to block until a bomb was thrown, and then you have to block a bomb and me.
Yeah, I got punished for camping because I was locked in a block string. And that felt a little unfair.
It also doesn't help that a few times I couldn't even see the bomb because there are foreground elements on the stages that actually obscure like the actual arena.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also ridiculous. It has a lot of these things that kind of lack the polish you expect from an SNK game, and I think I read somewhere that this was indeed kind of rushed.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think about the bust versus slash? You know, like the two different forms of the characters.
I really like that. I think that's really cool. It's a bit more pronounced than the isms from Street Fighter Alpha. Like, it feels like it changes the character a bit more. I also like that it kind of tries to contextualize, like it makes the character seem more brutal. Like you have Nakruru, I believe her name is, like when she has the or Nakruru, when she has her eagle in her regular form, but like in her like bust form, she has a wolf, or how the ninja has his dog Puppy in his like honorable regular form, but then the dishonorable form doesn't have the dog.
Which is the most dishonorable possible choice.
Exactly. So I like that kind of stuff, or how I think like Basara's dishonorable form is like before he got killed, but then like his quote unquote regular form is him as like the undead spectre or whatever else he is. So I like that. I think that's like pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of Guilty Gear XX when they had the EX versions that were unlockable that kind of like changed the moveset completely, kind of remixed them. So I think that's good. I do like it when games do things like that, and it even has like aesthetic implications. That's probably the nicest thing I can say about Samurai Shodown 3.
So how does this make you feel with Samurai Shodown on the horizon? Like, because everything I've seen of Samurai Shodown looks pretty faithful. Like, it looked a lot like this game to me.
So the main thing about Samurai Shodown, which this game still maintains, is that you die very quickly. Like, in general, at least from what I've played, like, you have normals that do more damage than actual specials. Like, specials are more like this setup tool in a lot of cases, but then, like, a good heavy slash will actually decimate your opponent. And one of the reasons this also didn't do well was, like, you can die in 1 or 2 slashes. The rounds can last less than 10 seconds. And if you're playing this in arcades, well, that's money down the drain in, like, less than a minute sometimes. That's also kind of why at least I believe a lot of fighting games kind of went into the long combos / juggles direction, because you play them at arcades and your money lasts longer, whereas stuff like Bushido Blade or Samurai Shodown kind of dies down because, you get less bang for your buck. So I like that. I think it was limited by the form. I think it's good to have... I'm not a combo person, so I'm kind of looking forward to something that is very, like, normal and spacing focused, because I feel... even if it's not good, I think it's going to be interesting to compare it to other contemporary fighting games. Like, I think it's going to be cool to, like, see how does Samurai Shodown look on a big Evo tournament.
Sure.
Like, we had this, like, weird moment where BB Tag had to have what was it, best of 5 instead of best of 3 because the matches were so short. So I'm kind of like, oh, what happens when we go into Overdrive and, like, make it even faster? So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's different. I think different is kind of good. Where it will actually play good, where it will actually have, like, a scene, and whether, like, fighting games should be like that, that's all up for debate and taste.
I guess the other thing I was concerned about going into the new Samurai Shodown is that there wouldn't be any character I cared about, but Genjiro's in it, so I guess I'm okay.
He is a really good design. He actually wasn't in the first game, because originally Haomaru was, the protagonist, and then his rival was Ukyo, the blue-haired samurai dude.
The sick boy.
Yeah, the sick boy, and they didn't think he was a strong enough rival, so they made Genjiro as the new rival for Haomaru, and I think that was a good choice. Like, he has, like, a much better persona, like, much more presence. Also, Hanafuda cards are really good, and cross-up records are even better.
They're dirty. I love them. They're great.
It fits the character so well. Like I hate that when I play, against Leo and Guilty Gear, and I get, like, fucking crossed up with a slash through. But in this game, for this character, it does make sense because it feels like something, a dishonorable samurai would do.
Yeah, he definitely feels like he has this vibe that he's definitely, like, he's looking down on you and he's looking to embarrass you in these fights. And I like it.
Yeah, and I think it's a good game plan because you can choose whether that slash is gonna be, like, a cross up or not, like whether he's gonna attack you from the front or from behind, and I think that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent to, like, try and read your game plan better. Also, one thing we should probably mention, we did mention that you can clash swords and then you can get disarmed there. Something that was discovered fairly recently, like a year or two ago, was... So, when 2 swords clash, you mash buttons, and whoever mashes more wins the clash and the other opponent gets disarmed. Turns out it's actually randomly determined.
Yep. Yeah, I forget, there was a studio that was doing, like, a re-release and looked at the code because they were having to look at the code in order to do the re-release, and they were like, oh, it just randomly decides who wins.
Yep.
So
which is like ridiculous.
I mean, as a person who hates mashing, I'm into it.
I mean, for me, it's also more I hate mashing, and I hate, like, mashing in the middle of a fighting game. Like that, like the Guilty Gear stagger, mash to get staggered less, I just despise. But, like, it's marginally less worse than a flip of a coin. This is like a danger time, but you're never told it's danger time.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the big concerns I have going into the new Samurai Shodown, is I think maybe my opinion is that weapon disarming is just a shitty mechanic.
They did go on record saying that some characters, well, every character will have disarmed options, but some characters will have more options when they are disarmed than others.
Hmm.
So I think that opens up a lot of design space for them, because then you can do specific matchups of like, oh, this character focuses on disarming the opponent, but then their matchup will be worse against this character because this character doesn't really care if they're disarmed or not. Or you can have design spaces of like intentionally holstering your weapon to get a specific set of moves.
Sure, but like, I mean, okay, let's make a comparison to something we said earlier, right? What if they'd said for Smash Ultimate, like, and we're bringing back tripping, but some characters will be less prone to tripping, or some characters will have some better wake-up options after tripping.
Well, to be fair, like tripping is imposed to you by like random chance. If they have disarming in a controlled environment, as in like, oh, okay, the property of this move is disarming you, I don't think it'll be like that unfair.
Well, that's true, but so the clashes also disarm, and those are random.
Okay, yeah, the clashes I agree with. Like, they definitely... I don't know how they do it in later games. I do know that they clean up their act significantly in, like, Samurai Shodown 4, 5, and 6. Like, this is, like, the bad one in terms of, like, polish and balancing and everything.
Okay.
So I wouldn't really, like, worry too much about this one. I think, like... I can't remember which one is the go-to. Because like the first 5 games are like the proper entries, and then like the 6th game is like this dream match scenario where they just have like almost every character. So I'm not really too concerned about balancing, especially because like, you know, after Samurai Shodown they had, you know, KOF 13 and all these other games. They were much better put together. So I trust SNK. I can't wait for them to break my heart.
I mean, I didn't like KOF 14, so I'm nervous.
Okay, that's fair. Well, we'll see.
We will.
I'm not like really. I'm mostly hyped for Samurai Shodown because I want a new 1v1 fighting game. With a focus on normals, and also I am tired of waiting for a new Guilty Gear patch.
Yeah, that's, you know, grow old and die that way.
Exactly. So, okay, well, I guess like, how did you feel about this experiment? Like, let's close it up with that. How did you feel venturing into the past and playing these old fighting games from yesteryear?
I definitely want to do more of this. I feel like there's a lot more, like, I don't know. I'm gonna make a weird. So, okay, this is a side tangent, right? Yesterday, I picked up a copy of Ninja Gaiden 2, the Xbox 360 one.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's now backwards compatible on the Xbox One, so I fired it up and I played some, and that game's a mess. I remember that I played it back in the day, but it also was interesting to go back to because it's a character action game, and they don't make character action games like it anymore. It's this entire like design sensibility that is just absent from the genre.
Oh, you wouldn't call DMC5 a character action game?
No, it's not that character action. No, but I mean, like, they're such, like, they're barely the same genre. Ninja Gaiden is so much more concerned. Like, honestly, Ninja Gaiden has so much more in common with Dark Souls than you think. And I know that's the comparison everyone makes with every possible game, but, like, seriously.
Okay, compare it to Sekiro, it's okay.
That's a good, there you go. And so it's way more a game about survival and overwhelming odds, and it's not as much like just, you know, like show off and do sick combos. And that's not like the way it plays is not represented in any games anymore. And that's a lot of what I get from going back to these games, where it's like you see ideas, you see ways of looking at the genre that like you don't realize how similar modern fighting games are, right? Like playing Samurai Shodown 3 there are a lot of ideas in that I don't think I love, but like you see a mechanic like disarming and you're like, there's nothing like this in modern fighting games that just like so thoroughly like forces you in an instant to completely change your game plan.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that, it's weird because like right now everything is so a bigger budget that you have to rely on things you know, where it's things you know from others, like aka your competitors, or things you know from what you make, aka if your arc system works.
Mm-hmm.
That like seeing stuff from this period where it was a bit more wild and everybody was trying to kind of reinvent the wheel because they weren't sure the wheel was fully established, but also like it's still this time period like post Street Fighter 2. Like imagine what would happen if we dug up some pre Street Fighter 2 fighting games. Like that would be even wilder.
I mean, TMNT was, right?
Oh, was it?
Okay,
Okay,
I'm Street Fighter 2 was a Super Nintendo game. This was an NES game, so.
No, but I think this was released
it was a late
the
NES?
SNES
Yeah.
Let me yeah. Wait, this was 1989. When was Street Fighter 2? Oh shit, you're right, it was before Street Fighter 2.
I thought it was.
Wait. No, wait, I miss Tournament Fighters NES. No, okay, it was post Street Fighter 2. It's 2 years after Street Fighter 2.
Okay. Nah.
Yeah.
Alright, never mind that. Darn.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you go like for pre Street Fighter 2 fighting games, then it gets like even more wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, we might do this again. I'd say on like we'll definitely do this like on streams, but we might do this again in podcast form if a video game releases and there is no way for me and Six to actually play it because it didn't ship with basic features, or there's just no new video game.
Yeah. No need to be that ominous. Sometimes there just ain't shit to play. I know it's been so long since we've done one of these. It feels like. Are there like you want to just briefly touch on like what have you been up to in the world of fighting games in between?
Oh god, I have started playing Under Night in Birth latest at work. That's the no pun intended latest thing I've been doing. Really liking it. Really happy that Akatsuki is no longer garbage. So I can actually punch people.
Yeah, you really rode that train through like the hard times and the good, huh?
Look, when I like a character, I just go head on, unless it's Beerus, then I give up. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I was hesitant to pick it up because it felt like everybody would stop playing it, like with every fighting game I buy. So I ended up getting it on a sale on Steam. It is really good. I've only played it with my colleagues. And I haven't actually played the tutorial yet because I couldn't set aside time. So everything I've been doing to learn the game since the last time I played it was on PlayStation 3. Everything I've learned has literally been trial by fire, just like getting my ass handed to me. But it's really good. It is extremely intuitive, and I actually fired up Melty Blood last week, and it's amazing how actually similar those games handle. And I think it's even more a testament how good actually French Bread is at making approachable fighting games. Like you immediately jump in, it immediately feels fluid. The only weird stuff is that I can't get used to how everything is safe. Like literally moves that don't look like they should be safe are safe, and yeah. What have you been up to?
I have. You mentioned Beerus. I haven't seen as much of him as you might think, or maybe I have seen as much of him as you would think. But I've gotten very, very deep into Dragon Ball. I am now an online warrior. I'm doing ranked matches. I'm climbing up. I'm playing tons, and it's really finally clicked for me in a way that I'm enjoying quite a lot.
Nice. Maybe I should come back. Maybe.
I mean, I don't know if any of the new DLC is doing it for you, but I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun. No?
Look. There's Hit. I don't need anybody else. Just solo pick Hit.
All right. Well, I'm playing a lot of. I got way into Broly. I'm a Broly main. It turns out, which I feel like looking at my history, it was hard to anticipate, but man, that character's fun. You just get to do some really stupid shit, and it's a very good time.
Nice. I don't know. Maybe after I'm done with Unist and Dead or Alive and Mortal Kombat 11 and Samurai Shodown, I will actually go back to Dragon Ball Fighters because I have like all those new characters anyway. So Six, where can people find you?
If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Sixdetmar. That's Sixdettmar. I've got a pinned tweet there that tells you all the work that I do, but I will specifically highlight the Patreon, which is patreon.com/scanlinemedia, which is me and my friend Jennifer, and all the work that we do, all our podcasts, all our articles, all the jazz. We don't make jazz. That was just an expression.
Jazz would be pretty dope, though.
It would. I like jazz.
Well,
what about you, Mio?
Well, people can find me on twitter.com/mdkii. That's MDK Roman numerals 2. You can also find me on twitch.tv/RealSovietBear. I'm streaming full playthroughs of games. Haven't streamed fighting games in a while, but I'm going to try and address that a bit. But you can check that out. You can also check out either on my Twitch page or on my Twitter page. There's a link to a Discord. You can join in that. It's a welcoming bunch. We also have a fighting game channel, so you can continue discussing fighting game opinions there.
I just had the dumbest Phoenix Down moment.
Okay.
Those are your initials. You're not a big fan of the fucking old third-person shooter MDK2.
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay, so it was both. Okay.
Yeah, it's both my initials, and I like that game.
Okay, but I didn't make the initials connection. I was just like, man, you just really dedicated to that MDK2 life. All right.
No, it's Miodrag Dragon Kovacevic II because I'm named after my uncle. So that's the joke. But then everybody can ask, "Oh, do you actually like MDK2?" And I do.
So next month on Neutral Game, we'll be playing MDK2, and.
No, we'll probably be talking about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which so that was kind of, we were on the fence, and it was kind of my call to push us over the edge. Mortal Kombat features and prominently stars Ronda Rousey, a Sandy Hook truther turf piece of shit. And it was pretty hard to decide to pull the plug on the, or not pull, whatever the expression I'm looking for is, to go ahead and commit to this one, because I really am angry that she's involved in this project. But I've literally never given a Mortal Kombat game its fair shake before. In fact, any NetherRealm fighting game. And one of our first times having a serious conversation was way back in the day when you and I had a fight about Mortal Kombat 9. And so it seemed like it was just too fertile ground for us to pass up, to me.
Yeah, when we had a discussion how it's not a real fighting game because it doesn't have cross-ups.
Yep. No, listen, I've done some growing up.
Anyway, yeah, just to like clarify for people, Neutral Game is a podcast for people who want to get into fighting games. As a general philosophy, we are very inclusive, and as a general philosophy, we really do not like when something that's, in some way discriminatory or bad as said voice actress / public person, we just don't approve of that. But also, we can also say, hey, this game is good, this person is a piece of shit, and, not have it affect whatever other opinions we have. Mm-hmm. We're adults here.
And, listen, if you have your own thoughts about it, if you want to say something about it, you heard my Twitter. You should feel free to hit me up.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm happy for feedback, even if your feedback is like, hey, you made the wrong call here. If that's true, I need to hear that.
Yeah. In general, we'll try to cover as much as we can, realistically speaking. Mm-hmm. Anyway, thank you all for listening in, and catch you later.
Peace.